I had an idea this morning, and I spend way too much time thinking about football. I think about it when I'm trying to fall asleep. I think about it when I'm shaving. I think about it whenever I have a moment to just kind of walk around the house. Like there's always something that's spinning in my brain. And this goes back to the Kadarius Toney offside. And I want to make sure I sound this out properly because I ran it by some of the PFT writers and they poo-pooed it. They were very quick to dismiss. So I want to make sure I explain it the right way. Now, for anyone who has been asleep all week, key play, memorable play, potential game-winning touchdown in the Bills-Chiefs game was wiped out because Kadarius Toney, who caught a lateral from tight end Travis Kelce and scored the touchdown, Toney was lined up offside before the play started. And the initial images we saw with the blue line, it's kind of like, well, it looks kind of close. Well, then we saw the images without the blue line from the right end. He was clearly lined up farther toward the opposing end zone than he should have been. Clearly offside, no question about it. Photographs support it. Video supports it. He was offside. One of the complaints made by Andy Reid, the head coach of the Chiefs, was, why didn't I get a warning? Well, we're going to warn you on the play where this guy's lined up that far offside. Well, the point is, if he's lining up offside throughout the game, at some point, you got to say something about it. You can't just wait until the final drive of the game, key moment, and we're going to throw the flag now. The guy's been lining up offside all game long. And I raised that point because Dan Orlovsky of ESPN had a package of plays earlier this week that showed Toney apparently lining up offside at earlier points in the game. And this gets the whole consistency of officiating. Like, you're lining up offside, nobody's throwing a flag. You're lining up offside, nobody's throwing a flag. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, we're going to throw the flag. That's the kind of thing that makes people wonder what's going on here. Throw the flag the first time, not the last time. Throw the flag every time until the guy adjusts his behavior. I raise all this because, now, I understand it's the obligation of the players to line up properly. And they have their eyes to guide them, even though the eyes of Kadarius Toney apparently failed him on Sunday. But I've been a strong advocate for years now of taking the current officiating function, which dates back to the first year of the NFL, with a bunch of people using the naked eye to discern what did or didn't happen. And they got 10 yards of chain link that determined whether or not a first down was secured. A lot of low-tech stuff. They've gradually worked in more technology from the standpoint of video and different camera angles and different ways to see, whether it's through the modified Sky Judge approach or the full-blown replay review approach, what really did happen. But I think what they should do is just forget about the way games have been officiated, tear it all down, and rebuild it in light of all technologies available today. And here's an example of something they could do if they want to do it. You could create, and I don't know how this would work from a technical standpoint. That's not my area of expertise, but I have a feeling that you probably could come up with this without a whole lot of expense. The pieces are probably out there to design something like this. You know, it's been over 10 years that there was a group that was pushing the idea of a laser-based first down line that you could actually see, like the yellow line that you see when you're watching a game. So every player on the field would know where that green line is. I mean, you could do something like that for the line of scrimmage. Everyone would see the blue line that is the line of scrimmage. You've got the down marker on one side of the field. You've got the corresponding down marker on the other side of the field. They have an electric eye that lines up. The beam activates, and everyone sees where the line is. That's the easiest way to do it. There are other ways they could do it too if you don't want to have a beam projected on the field, because people are freaked out over laser. It's a freaking laser. It's gonna, it's gonna blind me or something. The thought I had earlier today was, and this is based on the electric fence we have in our yard that keeps our dog Macy from leaving the yard. The two down markers create a line, and you have at the front of the shoe, in an inobtrusive way, not pinching down onto the toes, but you have something in the front of the shoe at the very tip that as you approach that line, it starts to vibrate. And if you cross that line, it maybe makes a sound. I mean, there are ways to embrace technology. And I'm not saying I advocate either one, although I do kind of like the idea of the blue line. But, we can either count on the naked eye and this process of looking to the official and saying, am I okay? And the official says, yeah, you're okay, or no, you need to move back. That's the low-tech way of doing it. There's a high-tech way of doing it that eliminates all doubt. And isn't that what we want? Do we want plays to be overturned because of some technicality, because someone's foot was in the wrong spot by 2 or 3 inches? And the pushback I got from the PFT writers was, well, people need to know how to line up properly. Well, yeah, they do, but it's a lot easier if you see the blue line, because apparently it's a skill that not everyone possesses, including Kadarius Toney. And you get in different spots in the field, and there's different viewpoints. And, if they're calling it loosely anyway, maybe you think you can cheat forward a little bit. Just put a blue line across the field and put a yellow line across the field. Use that laser approach. That's an example of how you spend the money, embrace technology, and avoid situations like this. Because does anybody take any delight whatsoever in seeing a play get wiped out because a guy's foot was 3 or 4 inches farther than it should have been before the snap? We don't want the game being bogged down by that kind of bullshit. We want the game to be able to play out. So let's make it easier for everyone. Let's leave no doubt. There's the blue line. Or your shoe is going to emit a buzz if your foot is on the wrong side of the line. Anyway, my point is this. The league office needs to have within the management structure people who are willing to advocate for things like this, people who are willing to think outside the box, people who are willing to present ideas, and you need to have people who are willing to receive them and evaluate them and encourage more ideas like that. If the attitude is, we're fine, you're wasting your time, I don't think we're going to do that. You understand what the corporate culture is. If you don't feel like those ideas are welcomed, what are you going to do? You're going to keep them to yourself, or you're not even going to take the time to try to think of them. The most successful businesses have a workforce that is comprised of people who are always thinking of ways to make the product better, and management that welcomes any idea, however stupid it might be, because you want to encourage the use of the brain, the human brain, incredibly powerful and incredibly underutilized by the human animal. Encourage people to use their brains to come up with ideas that could make things better. That's why I spend so much time thinking about football. Now, do I take some particular delight in pestering the NFL with these ideas? Yes, I do. Because if they're not going to do it themselves, somebody on the outside needs to be the one saying, hey, people, this is what you need to do for the good of the game. It's not an attack on the game. It's an attack on the stewards of the game. I've said that before. Why do you hate the NFL? I don't hate the NFL. I got a problem with the people who run the game right now, and I want them to do better. I want them to be better. I want them to make things better and not just count their money and delay the reckoning for the next commissioner or the next executive VP of football operations or the next whoever. I want them to tackle the tough problems now. Spend the money, spend the time, fight against the culture, be creative, and come up with ways to avoid the stuff that happened on Sunday. And I pause there because at some level, they like the fact that that's been a talking point for the last 3 days. That was one of the reasons I articulated when I explained late October, wrote something at PFT, the reasons why they're not going to make major changes to officiating. One of the reasons is they like the fact that we're talking about it. They like the controversy. They like the attention. This isn't the kind of attention they should like. But I submit to you, they like this kind of attention.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.